Okay,
We're live.
Madam, we're live. Go ahead.
Hello, good afternoon, good morning, good evening, good night, wherever you are in this part of the world. It's always such a pleasure coming into your homes every Sunday. At least my time, it is about 1600 hours, which is 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. In Maryland, United States of America. Yeah. People are asking me, when did I come from Texas? I'm here, home is Texas, and everywhere where I can lay my head. So with that being said and done, I just want to welcome everybody else on the show. We have Reverend Pam, of course. Then I'll have Nia Song introduce our guests of honor. And of course, always remember that we have a top of the hour where we get our briefing from our chairperson and Reverend Pamela. So with that being said and done, our president is in hospital with COVID. COVID-19 has finally hit the head of this country, the head of this mighty, huge nation. So what does that say for everybody else that has COVID? He was rushed to one of the best military hospitals you can ever think of with the state-of-the-art equipment. Everything in there is good. Truth be told, they said he has agreed, or they have suggested that he takes the experimental drug that they're using for COVID. I have not listened to any updates yet. I was just coming from church, as all of you can probably see from the hat I have on. I'm still in church. I was afraid if I jumped into the car, I'd make a mess like I did last week, where I had to cut off because I had to drive home. So with that being said and done, welcome everybody. We're looking forward to a very, very heavy and lengthy discussion with you. And please stay tuned in while I hand over the rails, of course, to our esteemed host, Nia Song.
Thank you. Good afternoon, good evening, good day, depending on where you are on the globe. And Sylvia, to tell you the truth, I just clicked off the BBC. The news is he had a steroid this morning and may be released from hospital Monday. That is the news from the BBC. That said, this is Africa Online Media Corporation. We are ready to go for this Sunday, the 1st, it seems, in the month of October. So what did I have on my script here? October finally came, bringing in its train for people in North America, fall or autumn weather. That is, chilly mornings and chilly evenings and cooler daytimes as tree leaves either lose their grip of the only anchor they've ever known, because they always hang on those branches, sticking to those branches for life, or they fall off, and of course we have to clean them up and use them either as dumpsters, or is it garden feed or something else. But then we are always in readiness to respond to what nature tells us and gives us. Wikipedia, that free encyclopedia, tells us that October is the 10th month of the year in both the Julian and Gregorian calendars. And it is the 6th of 7 months to have 31 days. Remember that elementary school rhyme? 30 days are September, April, June, and blah, blah, blah. Okay, today, October 4, is the 278th day in the year 2020. So calculate, 88 days remain until the end of the year. So
Wow.
start planning for the end of year. October may be here. Fall or autumn may have started. But what is most strange about these first days of the 10th month of the year is the surprise it has sprung on all of us. Especially, it has sprung on the greatest democracy in the world. Coronavirus and that respiratory disease, COVID-19, that it causes, made inroads into the highest office in this land that stretches from shining sea to shining sea. We're told, and it was confirmed, that President Donald Trump and his wife, First Lady Melania, and several people around the president tested positive to the pandemic. Africa Online Media Corporation wishes the president and all those sick around him well. History tells us that on this day, October 4, 1927, in the United States, work began on the face of Mount Rushmore in Black Hills National Forest of, you know the state? South Dakota. That is a civics question. Sculptor Gutzon Borglum began the work that would take another 12 years for the granite images of four of America's most revered and beloved presidents to finish. Those four presidents: Abraham Lincoln, Thomas Jefferson, Abraham Lincoln, and Theodore Roosevelt. Maybe you go to your history books and find out their numbers, because the presidents have numbers. On this day in 1965, then Pope Paul VI became the first pope to visit the Western Hemisphere. He visited the United States when he landed in New York and addressed the United Nations. Why? Because the Vietnam War was raging and he was praying for peace in Vietnam. He did not just pray, he urged the United Nations to take action to end the Vietnam War. WikiLeaks, created by internet activist Julian Assange, was launched his thing, WikiLeaks, this day in 2006. And on this first Sunday in October, Africa Online Media Corporation focuses on what has continued to preoccupy all of us since the beginning of the year: coronavirus and the respiratory disease it causes, COVID-19. We are all aware of what this pandemic has done and is doing around the world. With that awareness, we thought it would not be asking too much for us to ask you, our audience, to have your say by telling us what you as an individual and all of us as humanity have done and are doing to curb the pandemic and see our lives return to normal. Earlier this past week, we introduced the topic this way: it's been more than 9 months since the coronavirus reared its ugly head in China. I could not even say coronavirus at that time. I always faltered trying to pronounce it. Soon it became COVID-19, according to the World Health Organization, WHO, the respiratory infection that has now affected millions and killed hundreds of thousands the world over. Even though there are no immediate signs of its going away, we cannot ignore individual and collective efforts that have been made and are being made to curb the pandemic and stop the virus in its tracks. So what individual and collective actions are needed to defeat the pandemic? On an individual basis, what action or actions have you taken or are taking to fight the virus and COVID-19? Join Africa Online Media Corporation this afternoon, therefore, or evening, depending on your time zone, and of course, discuss this faceless pandemic. No idea is too small to inform and educate public opinion on the effects and consequences of coronavirus and COVID-19, which continues to sicken so many people and take so many lives. But it is not only coronavirus and COVID-19 that are on our minds this Sunday. We are also taking a look at something new, something genuine, and something purposeful. We are referring to Sweat It Out, Save Alive. Sweat It Out, Save Alive, the brainchild of one of our members, Dr. Najela Nukuna. She is on the program to tell us more about what she has done and is doing to not only help us with our health in general, but to also tell us what she and her organization are doing to provide protective and other equipment to people in Africa, particularly Cameroon, I think, as they strive to fight off and survive coronavirus and COVID-19. So at this point, we will turn the microphone to our co-host, Sylvia Latony Robertson, to get the discussion going. Sylvia, good afternoon and happy October, of course.
Thank you very much. Happy October to you too, my brother. It's always a pleasure, being on the show. Yes, we're talking about the coronavirus, COVID-19, and it appears like this thing is not relenting no matter which way we twist it and turn it or look at it. I was looking at something, was it this morning or last night, where it said, I'm not sure if it was BBC or CNN, is trying to unravel why Africa has not been hit with this pandemic like the rest of the world has. Now, unfortunately, I have not read the article. I think 2 or 3 people sent it to me. I just, how you read the heading, and it put a very big smile on my face. I said, well, I do remember that Mrs. What's her face, this rich man's wife, was talking about how Africa was going to be hit with this pandemic, and it was
Bill
going to be
Gates. You mean Bill Gates?
There you go, Mrs. Gates, yes. And I responded when I saw that in my own words. I said, "This is not Africa's portion. It's never going to happen. That's back to sender. This is not Africa's portion. This is not an African disease. It was not manufactured in an African lab. So why in God's name would God permit it to go and devastate our people who are innocent? It needs to devastate those that manufactured it, those that support it, and those that sometimes today, some people are still arguing that it's non-existent." So with that being said and done, it's to my delight and surprise too to see that our people in Africa, I mean, it's there, but they're not dying like the prediction was made, which is something that should not even have been said in the first place. Why don't you predict on your own people, your own kind, and say the pandemic will hit you here? That'll be fine. Leave them Africans alone. They've done nothing wrong to anybody. So the question today is, how are we coping? Or rather, our topic today is, how are we coping? How are people out there coping, including myself, Reverend Pam, Ania Song, and Professor Agrippa? How are we coping with COVID? Just before we started the show, I was apologizing to Reverend Pam and Ania Song to say, pardon my hat, I'm in church. I'm still in church. I haven't left. I haven't been to church in so long that, the past 3 weeks I've been coming back to our church. It's a very nice, refreshing feeling. So sitting in here, again, it really, really made me realize how much I miss being among my people, but being among my congregants. And even the word of God even sounds sweeter. I've heard this word of God many, many times, but because it's during pandemic time, it's got a different twist, a different tone of sweetness. So I'm really, really looking forward, to these gatherings and to coming. We are taking the precautions of making sure that people are not sneezing, coughing, and whatever, and have the symptoms. Yes, a lot of us are still scared to go out, which is fine, but I'm just speaking for myself. The difference I've made since the COVID now is by coming back to church, and I'm enjoying my church coming, the way I do. We worship, I sit in here, do my broadcast, and after that I go home. Reverend Pam?
Thank you. I don't know why you are apologizing for your hat. I don't do hats, but it looks beautiful. And no apologies. You are fearfully and wonderfully made. I want to, before I proceed, I just want to, on behalf of Africa Online Media Corporation, to extend our prayers to President Trump, the First Lady, and all those who are fighting COVID. We are praying for all of you. The reason why the president's hospitalization is of concern, because he's not just a regular patient. He's our president. We live in this country. We are U.S. citizens. So, Mr. President, we wish you the best. And I would like to thank Dr. Najila Nukuna again for all that she's been doing to fight COVID. Our topic this week has been, what are you doing to fight the coronavirus and COVID-19? Hopefully her partner will be on here, but she was on the show last Sunday and made a request, and we granted that request. So we are talking about, what are you doing to fight coronavirus and COVID-19? There's a handsome young man that I have not seen him in a couple of weeks. I don't remember his name. I think he's a professor. I think he's my brother, but I don't remember his name because it's been so long. So I will let him introduce himself before I continue. If you are a young, handsome professor on this show that I have seen in 2 years, in 2 weeks, I don't remember. Please introduce yourself before I continue.
Oh, Jesus, you just lied. Anyway, hi, everyone. My name is Agrippa Isoso. I'm sorry I've been away for so long, but I thank all of you for doing all this wonderful work. Thank you. I'm here with you guys.
All right. Thank you. I'm glad he and for those of you who don't know, Agrippa was a king. That's the name of a king. So he's a king. It's in the Bible. But anyway, before we bring our guest, Dr. Najila Nukuna, I said it last Sunday, and I've said it every time she's been on this show. For the purpose of transparency, she's married to my younger brother, so she's my sister-in-law. So let me get that out. She's not on this show because she's related to me. She's on this show because she's very qualified, you know, as our guest, and she's a founding member of Africa Online Media Corporation. So Dr. Nukuna will talk about what they're doing, but what I have been doing, of course, when I go to the grocery store, I wear my mask, I wear a glove, and then I still sanitize the cat. I wear my gloves. I really do, because I don't like hospitals, even though I spent a decade and a half working in a hospital as a clinical pharmacist. I don't like hospitals. I don't like taking medications. I don't take medications. So the best thing for me to do is not to get sick, you know. And before I talk about what I've been doing, Sister Sylvia, go tell Bill Gates and the wife, look, we eat with a lot of pepper. A coronavirus cannot stand pepper, cannot stand Cameroon pepper, cannot stand African pepper. I'm telling you, because coronavirus is afraid of pepper. So he's staying away from Africans because they know pepper in his eyes. So go tell them that. And our people are serious. No, that was just a side joke. But on a serious note, I think our people learned from the Ebola. I think there's a movie called 97 Days. I watched it on Netflix. You know, I was impressed. And if they are hoping that Africa will die, they ain't seen nothing yet. Let me tell you, Africans have woken up. We are afraid to die. Africans, most Africans are afraid to die. That's why you don't see Africans doing deep sea diving, bungee jumping, all those crazy walking close to a lion to talk to them. Nonsense, you know. Or African reporters reporting from the war zone. Are you kidding me? If you die, the war will continue. So we don't do those type of things, you know. So anyway, in addition to protecting myself, before coronavirus, I always had my hand sanitizer anyway, so that has not stopped. I really don't go anywhere. I really don't. I do. Before Corona, I was doing virtual meetings and offices for the past 3 years. You know, I've been using Zoom for 4 years now. So I do all my meetings on Zoom. You know, I avoid, you know, I think the only place I really go is the grocery store. That's the only place I go to. I had to meet with the client one time to pick up a check, and I asked him to meet me in the parking lot of Whole Foods. And I made sure the check was in an envelope, and I grabbed it. I didn't come near him. No, I'm serious, because I don't want to be in a hospital. Believe me, I worked in a hospital. I spent 11 years of my life in a hospital. I know what happens in a hospital. You don't want to be in a hospital. Let me tell you, the best thing you can do for yourself is avoid going to the hospital, because you may go into a hospital. It doesn't matter how clean, how upscale it is, you pick up other things from the hospital. So anyway, let me not go into, I'm just saying the best thing you can do for yourself, and wear a mask. You are protecting other people, but you're also protecting yourself. Even though the surgical mask doesn't really protect you from corona, if everybody wears a mask, nobody will get it. So one of the things I just started doing recently was Dr. Najela's program, which she will be talking about this. I won't talk about it because I'm not an expert, but I am proud to say I walk 5 miles, which is 8K. They're doing 5K. I'm not doing 5K. I am doing 5 miles minimum. I live in a small neighborhood. You go around it, it's for 9 miles. And then when the sun gets up, I come and I dance. I have my playlist. I dance the rest of it, and I enjoy myself. So Dr. Nukuna, by the end of this year, I may just drop that 50 pounds. I know I can do it. I had said extend it to next year because of coronavirus, but hey, I'm enjoying this now. At 6 o'clock in the morning, I'm up, brush my teeth, put on my workout clothes and my tennis shoes, and I'm out walking. So at this point, I think we should hear from Dr. Najela Nukuna what she is doing to fight coronavirus and COVID-19. Dr. Nukuna, you're welcome.
Thank you all so much. Thank you. Yeah. And I'm so excited that, you know, MAPAM has picked up on this.
Yes.
It's been a struggle, and let me be honest, trying to get her to start walking and to follow up with what she had pledged to do this year. So I'm thankful. I'm also thankful for all of you here today, and we're grateful for being here healthy this Sunday. And I also join all of Africa Online to express my quick recovery wishes to our leaders and those whom they infected, unfortunately.
Yes.
So, and to all of those who have unfortunately suffered and have died from this disease, and those who are still suffering. There is still a lot going on, and we are blessed. I know that in Africa, we are blessed that I don't know what it is, but I think there are studies going on to confirm that it looks like we may have some resistance. But on the other hand, you talk to the local grave diggers, and that's where you get the real truth, right?
Yes.
If you talk to the local grave diggers, they say, we have too much work now.
Mm-hmm.
So what that tells me is that the numbers are not really indicating what's going on. So our parents and grandparents are dying at an alarming rate, which means the younger people may have the immunity, but they are asymptomatic, they're not testing, so those numbers are not reflecting it. The doctors in the hospitals, in most African hospitals, are seeing the brunt of it. They are actually facing life and death every single day. And we're just using the example in Cameroon right now, where I have listened to testimonies from patients and from doctors, directors of hospitals, who are saying they are relying on the diaspora to support them because the priorities are not there to provide them with the necessary PPEs. So I'm just going to, Aray unfortunately may be joining us later because he's really in the middle of so many other Zooms that he's trying to promote this. So he did actually send me a write-up, and the write-up is about I Am Cameroon. So Aray's background has been international, especially in the continent of Africa. He's done a lot of work in many African countries. And right now he's actually focusing on other non-profit organizations working on different initiatives all over Africa. And one of them is this I Am Cameroon initiative. So I Am Cameroon was actually an organization, a non-for-profit organization that was created in 2013. It's a movement with a mission to inspire, educate, and engage Cameroonians, as well as Africans, to accept and assume responsibility for the development of their countries. The organization is non-partisan and apolitical. With a vision of development and improving quality of life, I Am Cameroon proudly presents the Sweat It Off, Save a Life Fitness Challenge. This campaign, launched by the Cameroonian diaspora with a lot of support from Africans and friends around in the diaspora. We actually have one of our key technical gurus of this Sweat It Off, Save a Life from Puerto Rico. And he's brought in a lot of his friends. We have some Cameroonians in Germany who have brought in a lot of their friends from Germany. We have Kenyans, we have Nigerians, we have Cameroonians all over who are supporting this with their, and the goal is that we want to serve like a model for other African countries to really take this platform and use it for their own communities. This campaign has an objective to raise about $50,000 to procure and distribute personal protective equipment to healthcare workers in Cameroon who put their lives on the line daily in the fight against COVID-19. So I have to tell you that they have already raised $26,000, which has been disseminated across the country. And we had and I would share that video, a very elaborate, transparent video of all the work that has been done. And what really touched me was the work that the Cameroonians themselves in Cameroon have done to push this effort forward. Among the youth, they have entrepreneurs who are building small groups and going around and educating others about COVID-19 and trying to spread the word and get rid of most of the propaganda that's going out there, because there are a lot of conspiracy theories that's preventing people from going to hospitals, So they're really trying to, and I understand hospitals are a dangerous place to be, but rather than dying, it's better to at least go get care. There is care, there's medical care in most of the hospitals back home, but people are scared of going because they think it's a death, it's just like a death sentence when you go to the hospitals. So COVID-19 is an equal opportunity infectious disease. It affects people indiscriminately. It knows no boundaries, ethics, linguistics, or religious background. However, we know that it most often has terminal effects on the vulnerable, exposed, such as healthcare personnel, people with pre-existing conditions, essential workers, the elderly, and less privileged. And let me just speak to this. A lot of the healthcare workers in Cameroon, and we are seeing this across the continent, are actually avoiding going to work. So they would prefer to take the pay cut or lose their jobs because of the fact that they don't have enough PPE to protect them. So it is a huge concern. Motivated by the desire to equally impact the vulnerable population in the country, the Cameroonian diaspora under the banner of I Am Cameroon are uniting individuals, families, associations, and well-wishers to participate in this fun-filled challenge that will last through the month of October, and the main event scheduled for Saturday, October 31st. We had a launch of this campaign last week, and it was amazing. It was fantastic that people are understanding that part of the treatment of COVID-19 is becoming healthy yourself, is becoming fit yourself. It's a disease that loves people who lie on their couch. It's a disease that loves people who have problems breathing. It's a disease that loves people who have cardiovascular events, who have comorbidities, who have diabetes, who have cancer. It loves those people. Can I please close the door? So for us to be able to prevent ourselves from getting this disease, we have to get fit. And so it was no mistake that we chose this Sweat It Out during the month of October for people to build up their cardiovascular strength and to build up their stamina so they can actually fight this disease faster. I would say that one of the first Cameroonian patients in the diaspora here in Delaware, and he was willing to actually come and testify in one of our COVID-19 meetings, because we've been having meetings for 22 weeks now, just talking about all the plans all the money that we are trying to raise for COVID-19. He came out, and here is what he said. He said, well, he's 35 years old. He works in a nursing home here in Delaware. And he said the way he knew he had COVID-19, I mean, they were testing them often. This was sometime in March, so the testing was not really prevalent, but in their nursing home, they made the point of testing them maybe once every month. And he had tested in February, when this whole thing had just started, sometime at the end of February, and it was negative. But he said when he went for his runs, because he's an avid runner, he noticed that after 2 miles, he could barely breathe. So he came back and he told his boss, and he said there's something going on with him. So his boss sent him to the hospital, and he immediately called his sponsors here, his family members here. And the first thing they told him was, don't go to the hospital. You know, at that point, there was a lot of, conspiracy theories going on, and people did not want to go to the hospital. So he stayed about a week, and he realized that he was getting short of breath. I mean, he couldn't breathe anymore. So he rushed himself to the hospital, and lo and behold, he was almost put on a ventilator at 35 years old. He resisted. He said they kept him in, because at that time in the hospital, the care was not very good. As you guys remember, things were not very clear. They were sending people back home, people who were really sick. And he decided to come back home. And he, at that point, it was all about, the ginger and garlic and all those concoctions that people were making. And he said his family insisted that he should take it. He said he was taking it and it was doing nothing for him. But what saved him was the fact that he continued running. He was running, he was getting short of breath, and there was no information then about, breathing exercises. But because he was running and he was breathing hard, albeit struggling with his runs and taking all the flu medications because he was having the high fever. So he was doing all of that. He was also doing the fever grass, putting himself under the blanket and doing the fever grass. So all of that was making him sweat. But I think what really changed it for him was the running. So fitness, we cannot underestimate what being fit could help. We could have lost this boy because he was at the point where he was going to be put on a ventilator. He's back now, almost 85%. He will tell you that he's not yet back to 100%, but he is still doing his 5 miles every day. So that story is just to tell you that we can save a lot of our lives and our friends back home by just making them go out for a walk, go out for a run, go out for just dance, like Mapam said. Keep yourself, fit, eat healthy. So before I go on another tangent, because I could really go on and on.
That's okay. We're gonna hand over to the anchors because we need to hear from Prof. and then let the anchors.
Yes. But this challenge, just before I get off, this challenge that we're talking of is a fitness campaign. It's going to be a 5K run or walk, October 31st. But building up to that, we have an app called Just Move. So when you register for this campaign, and all you have to do is just drop your $25 registration fee. When you register for this campaign, you will be immediately sent the app. In the app, as you're walking, it's going to be telling you, oh, you've walked 0.5 kilometers in maybe using on a 20 minute mile pace. And it urges you to keep improving that pace. And then on the 31st, we're going to have the virtual walk. It's going to be virtual. Safety is the biggest thing for us. And we would have a huge production. I mean, our techno people are getting a huge production. And we're also going to have a cultural, fun, fitness 1 hour routine with our music. And it's going to target your upper body, lower body, your core, flexibility, everything that we need to do in 1 hour. So we're really looking forward to you all joining. I will put the registration form on our chat. Please share it as many people as possible. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Why you take a sip of water. Yes, Sylvia, over to you.
Thank you so much for that information and for sharing. Reverend Pam, thank you for taking the rails and showing us the way forward. I believe most of the Africa Online Media family should join this, but I typically walk 1.5 miles every day anyway myself, so this is nothing new to me.
I need you to register today. I need you to join me on that walk, Madam President. I'm from.
No. I walk already by myself 1.5 in the morning and 1.5 in the evening. I already have a routine that I've been doing for the past 5 months.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, but it's going to inspire others to do it. That's why we really want you. We want others to do it. When they see you doing it, can you imagine how many followers will follow up and do it, and you'll be saving?
We got Reverend Pam on there. Come on now, we got Reverend Pam on there. That's why I said thank you for trailblazing.
President, man, don't worry. I'll handle it off the air. Reverend Pam doesn't wear a hat. You need to do your 1.5 miles in the morning. That's 3 miles. That's almost 5K. So you need to register. Madam President, you need to register or else we'll send you back to Zambia.
No. I'm not registering anywhere. Let me talk to you offline. Anyway, offline. Going on here, let me not discourage other people. Let me just rephrase what I said. This information that we just received is what I call a beeline to health, to getting healthy or healthier. If some of you are already fanatics of running, walking, and speed walking and stuff like that, please don't stop what you're doing. But I believe that this may be a fun thing to join, a fun thing to be a part of, so that you increase whatever it is that you're working on already, as an individual. Right. So those of you who are watching, I don't think I got any information on it, Reverend Pam. Is it possible to share the information on the screen?
I put it on the chat.
It's on the chat right now.
Can you please put it on the chat so that I can read it? And, you know, when I come back, I can share it, or Niasong can do that for us. But at this point, at this juncture, let me let Professor Agrippa chime in as to what he has been doing during this pandemic, or what he intends to do to, you know, cope with this pandemic, because a lot of our children right now are going, I don't even want to talk about this, but let Professor first speak, then I'll come and chime in. Professor? Oh, before you do that, Prophetess Lisa just sent a text message. She said she's not feeling very well, so please let's keep her in our prayers. And even as we deliberate and speak today, you know, if we can reach out to her, I think that will be good. Prophetess Lisa is one of our people, one of our members on Africa Online Media Corporation. Thank you, Professor.
Oh, thank you, all of you. Nigeria, thank you for the work you guys are doing for Cameroon. That is very, very encouraging, and I hope other African countries will do the same thing. Well, luckily for me, I worked for UCLA for 31 years now. And UCLA, we have about 53,000 employees. Wow. Just for the UCLA, yes. And then we have the UCLA hospital, which has almost 20,000 employees, nurses, and doctors. And the UCLA hospital, we have about 44 different clinics within UCLA. And I'm a human resources director for one of the clinics. I have 400 employees. So this is what we do, and hopefully it will help. As a director, if you come into the clinic, if you don't have your mask on, we'll send you home.
Good.
If you refuse to wear it. We have PPEs, you know, most of them are donated to the clinic. Sometimes we don't even have a place to store them. So we have all the equipment. But before then, every morning, all the 53,000 employees at UCLA, you have an email. It's a questionnaire every morning. I did mine just not today, even though I'm not at work. They have a series of questions for you. Do you have COVID-19? Have you been in contact with anybody who have COVID-19? How many people do you live with? If any of your family members have COVID-19? If any of those questions, you say yes to any of those questions, automatically they will block your access. They will send you to go testing. You can't come to work until you get a doctor's clearance to come to work. So we've been doing that since March. I think March 15 or 16 that it comes out. So I'm the one that is monitoring all that for my clinic. So that is very, very given. When I look into that, it saves lives. Another thing that we do also, we have some people who share the same offices, like 2 or 3 people in one office. Well, we break them up. So Monday, Wednesday, one person will come to the office, the rest will work from home, so that we don't have to have 2 people, you know, close together. And that is working. And some of the employees who can work efficiently from home, they are now working from home permanently. You know, so you don't have to come, because if you have to do your work from home, there is no need for you to come. But because I'm in a clinic setting, I have to go to work, you know, to make sure everything is okay for the human resources to work. So all those practices help. And in my clinic, we do testing also for COVID-19. Every week, we give figures, how many people positive, you know, how many people negative, how many people we tested. So we are very, 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 very strict. And I think that practice works. And I hope I can duplicate that kind of practice, then send it to Africa, because it helps. So thank you very much. That's what we've been doing.
Let me just jump in here real quick. Prof, thank you so much for sharing that. People don't realize the importance of information sharing and education. Yes. There is so much fake news out there, so much inaccurate information being shared. What UCLA is doing, they may never even grasp the number of lives that they're going to save. I want to encourage all our listeners to share that information, even at the local government. And I want to encourage our people, please tell the truth. At the end of this month, we're going to be doing a show called Surviving COVID. We want to invite every African or person of African descent that has suffered from COVID, or that tested positive and did not develop the illness, because there are people that test positive and it doesn't progress to the disease state. We want to invite all of you to come and share your story and save lives. Our people, COVID-19 is not a sexually transmitted disease. Please don't be embarrassed. Come and save lives. Share the information, share your experience. Like we heard from Dr. Najela, what this 35-year-old man did. The thing is that sometimes people do so many things, you really cannot pinpoint which of the therapies actually saved them. But it's still good for people to share that. I've said it multiple times. I don't take the flu shots. I'm not saying that people should not. I'm telling you my own story. I don't take it. When I get a cold, I take pepper soup. I make it myself. I put a lot of pepper, a habanero pepper or Scotch bonnet pepper in it. And in less than 24 hours, usually 12 hours, it knocks it out. I spoke with a colleague of mine, a pharmacist in Dallas. He got infected. He told me, he said, my dear, all I did was take pepper soup. That's what she told me. You know, and she took zinc also, but pepper soup. So I am not telling anybody that pepper soup is a cure. I'm just telling you what this colleague of mine did. So we want everybody who's had coronavirus or been infected with coronavirus or COVID-19, especially those who survived, had it and, you know, are out of the woods. You know, we really don't want to bring anybody who is still going through it. You know, we don't. But please inbox us, Zoom in at the end of this month, and we want to hear your story. So, Prof, what you're saying is so important. And our people, you know, and that is built on an honor code, because somebody might put in the wrong answers or for answer. They may have a relative who has who's tested positive and they will not put it on that questionnaire. So it's based on honesty. So our people sometimes when they go to the doctors, they don't want to tell the doctors the truth or everything. You have to. But I see our CFO. I don't remember her name either because she's been missing. So the anchors, please, if you guys can talk to her, because I really don't remember her name.
Yes, I will take that. Our dancing prophetess Solange. You're
Oh,
welcome back to the family.
thank you.
Action, but we didn't forget you. And thank you, Professor Agrippa, for sharing your experiences. And personally, to tell my little bit of the story, I live with a survivor. And because I live with a survivor, I do the things the survivor is recommended to do by the therapist. And we've been going for walks. And before then, I used to always insist to my children, let me be the one to mow the lawn, because it's a push lawn mower that we have. And I use it, and there's a little hill. I make sure that I do the mowing as often as I can. And when this thing started, I did all the African concoctions. My wife told me, even before she was taken to hospital, cover the blanket. I did it at least with her. Whenever she was doing it, I was doing it. And when she went and God raised her back to us on Pentecost Sunday, I said, thank God, we will continue to do whatever the therapists, the doctors tell her to do, we will do it together. So please, whatever it is, as Reverend Pam said, this is not something to be shy about. Share information, it can save a life. So Solange, you're welcome back to the fold.
Oh, thank you. Nice to be back.
Before Solange speak, just to be clear to our viewers, when you say do the blanket, you're talking about the African aromatherapy, right?
No, I don't mean
the one that you boil the fever grass or what? Can you please just explain to our viewers what do the blanket means? Because you're a married man, you've been married for more than 50 years or more than 100 years. So when you say do the blanket, our viewers may misunderstand what you mean by do the blanket.
Yes, I know our brothers in Africa, our sisters in Africa believe that doing the blanket is having she cover you up and you cover her up. No, not that. I mean, going under with that boiled pot of fever grass, all those things inside, cover yourself up for at least 20, 30 minutes, sweat it out, and then of course you come out and you take a shower, and then of course you know that you've done something for you.
Feel better.
That day. So Solange, I was going to say, you have been missing in action, but we hope that
No.
you have been doing some actions, and you are doing some actions to keep yourself as safe and as blessed as possible.
I've been doing my best. I wear my mask. Right now, I'm not wearing a mask because I'm at home. But when I'm stepping out of my home, I make sure I have my mask. I have masks like 3 in my purse, in my car, in my office. When you come to my office, I have a box. If you don't have one, ask Reverend Pam, I'll give you one. So I do not take chances at all. I have a big jar of sanitizer desk. So I try. I mean, I hope it does not come to me because it will not be for lack of trying, because I'm trying my best to be safe.
Yes.
Wash my hands. Yeah, I do all those things.
All right.
Sometimes as I said, sometimes some things can just happen. Even when you're really careful, it can still happen. But thank God, I always say that I know coronavirus is deadly, but I don't want to think that it's a death sentence. Because just as you say, there's so many survivors. So many. So I know it's not a death sentence, but we have to be careful and exercise often. I walk every day. I have to do more than that.
So Dr. Najela, I was just going to say that by the end of the day, you will see me signed up for the Sweat It Out, Save a Life.
Unmute yourself, Dr. Najela, unmute yourself.
Fantastic, fantastic. And you know, you by just doing that with your and with your, you know, just the number of people you inspire, you just don't know how many lives you would save. And I'm so grateful that you shared your own personal story. I think for those listening to this, I think it makes it real. It makes it real, and it makes it, and I think if we're going to say there's a benefit from this COVID-19, I think people are going to be more conscious. People are going to be more healthy. You know, like last week, there was one lesson that we learned from Africa Online, which was just being more hygienic. I'm sure, you know, people have just learned to wash their clean during cooking and all those things that some people did not really think about. So we're really grateful to these messages that we're sending out.
What are we signing up for?
Reverend Sanj, hold on. While you're on the topic, can you please give us the site that we spoke about earlier so people know where they're going to register? Because as you share this information, people should be able to jot it down. And while we speak, if they go on the site and they may have questions, they may post them on our Facebook. So please go ahead and give us that site. I saw you put it on here, but when I saw the phone number, it looks like it's got too many phone numbers. So let me not make a mistake. Please go ahead, Najela.
It's actually a link. If you just go on the link.
Yeah, the link is there, yeah.
There's a number you put there. Hold on. Let me go back. Okay. You put HTTPS //form form.jotform.com/202661.
That's too complicated. We need
that's what I was saying.
Our viewers can go and can they Google Sweat It Off and Save a Life?
Well, so for instance, can I just share my screen?
Yes, sure. Let me make you co-host.
This is probably the best way to do this. I mean,
let me give you access to do that. And I think that may be Dr. Tazom.
Dr. B. Tazom just joined, so we'll get back to her soon.
There she goes. She has a video on.
Yeah. Okay. Dr. Najela, share, then we'll go to Dr. B. Tazom.
Okay.
Reverend Pam, you made her co-host?
Yes, I did.
Yeah, okay. So she can share her screen.
Dr. Najela, you are co-host, so you can share your
Okay, I'm trying to, and it's okay. Here we go. Hopefully, I can share.
Yes.
Okay. All right. There you go. It's loading.
Yes.
Okay, DuPont.com.
No, that's her job.
It's loading the form right now.
It's loading.
Give it 1 minute.
We want something easy.
Okay, can you see this now?
It says Z scalar.
Oh no, so I'm on the wrong screen, sorry.
We want people to, it'll be nice if they can just Google Sweat It Off and Save a Life.
And sign and register?
Yeah.
I'm sorry I joined in late, so I don't want to take everybody
But
back.
it's on the
I
chat
want to
box.
be part
It's
of
on
it.
the chat
Dr.
box.
Nakuna, you had something during the week on our WhatsApp group, and I saw it.
Okay, so once you click on that link,
Yeah.
once you click on that link, it will take you to this
That's it.
Sweat It Off, Save a
Sweat It
Life.
Off,
Can you
Save a Life.
do that now?
Okay, good.
Okay, so give me a minute to excuse myself. Let me copy and paste this link and put it on Facebook, okay?
Okay, that would be perfect. Yes.
I'm getting
Because
off. I'm getting offline for just a second. I'll do that. 1 second. I'll be
Thank
back.
you.
Okay, good. And we are streaming live on Facebook too. So Dr. Najela, go to the top. Well, that's what they need more than the form.
Yeah.
Yeah. So right here, so that link is exactly what you need.
Okay, good. That's fine. You can, it's on our Facebook also.
Okay.
Facebook people. This is being streamed on Facebook. That's what we needed. So you can stop the screen sharing.
That's what I
What
saw
are we
during the
doing?
week.
31st of October, is that? What's
So
going on?
basically we are starting right now. So the campaign starts right now. We're working towards a 5K run or walk or 15K bike on the 31st of October. So right now it's just everybody building themselves up to that date. So we have all kinds of activities going on. We have an app right now called Just Move. Once you register, you will be automatically sent that app for the activity that you registered for, and you can start posting your activities, sharing it out to others to inspire others, because the whole idea is to have full community engagement. And so we're hoping that if you're walking a 5K now in 50 minutes, by the 31st, you should be walking it in 25 minutes,
But 5K means what? 5,000 miles?
5K means 5 kilometers or 3.1 miles.
I'm looking at 5,000 miles in
No. Sorry. They usually
You came late. You have to watch
kilometers.
this show. No, Najela, she's taking you back to the beginning of the show. So Dr.
I'm sorry. I want to see K. I just think of thousands. Okay.
Yeah, she's an accountant, so
She thinks money.
yeah. So this accountant will have to watch the show so we can move forward. You
Okay.
have to watch the show to get the details. It's on there.
No problem. That's good. No problem.
Yes, thank you very much.
Dr. B? Where's Dr. Tazom?
I don't know. She turned around and I don't know where she.
She's on.
Yeah, I know she's on, but I don't know where I wanted to invite her.
Okay, I'm back.
5 miles.
Okay.
Can somebody check the Facebook and make sure you can see, please? I've put it on there.
All right, we need to hear from Dr. Tazom, please.
Yeah, that's right. Dr. Tazom, we're discussing what have you done, what are you doing to fight off COVID-19 and the coronavirus?
And she's a frontline worker.
Yes.
Hello?
Yes, I know you're
Welcome.
frontline worker.
Okay, I wasn't sure if you can see me. And so thank you so much for all the work you're doing, Team Africa Online. We are the future of Africa. We hold the keys, the solutions to our problems. And I see that every little effort counts, helping people come up with ideas and solutions to our problems is amazing. So I think what I just want to share is that Africans, we have traditionally undermined ourselves. Excuse me. When we do not respect our own practices, but we want to copy other practices without the resources and tools to live the way they do, we set ourselves up for trouble. One thing I want to say is that the key to staying healthy, as Dr. Nkuna said, is lifestyle. And there are 6 pillars to lifestyle. And the reason why I'm so committed to lifestyle medicine is because I have a background and a family history of good lifestyle practices. And I'm going to explain what I mean. But let me just say now, the 6 pillars of good health are proper nutrition, basically whole food plant-based nutrition, proper sleep, good physical activity, and we usually recommend at least 30 minutes, 5 days a week. That's the barest minimum, but you have to include aerobics, staying active, strength training, and all that stuff. And then we are also talking about avoiding substances that harm your body. And that includes anything that is not working for your body, including alcohol, cigarettes, drugs, and so on. The list is endless. We talk about maintaining good social connections, which is a key to being resilient in the midst of hardship. And the last thing, it just skipped my mind. It's going to come back to me in a moment. I just forgot what it was. So anyways, there are 6 pillars, good health. And this is what lifestyle medicine pushes on. But I want to give you guys a little background. If you're familiar, there's something called the Pritikin Diet. And the gentleman who started this whole thing, or the Pritikin Diet, yeah, the gentleman who started it, he got part of his training on this lifestyle when he went to West Africa. He went and saw what they were eating. You know how our parents, our grandparents used to eat. That is really how you eat to stay healthy. I'm not saying that you cannot make modifications, but the basics always remain the same. And the reason why I said that I believe in lifestyle medicine is because I saw 3 of my grandparents. I saw them when I was born, and I lived with them for a little while until God took them away. And all of my grandparents that I met in this world lived to be over 100 years old. None of them were chronically ill when they died. I mean, one of them just fell down and died. The other one had pneumonia for a week and then she died. She was 100 and something. My grandfather was up and about. He was strong. He had his teeth until he died. And none of these people went to the gym. They did not do diets. They just ate the way we are supposed to be eating. They stayed physically active. So they ate straight out of their farms, which is again what we're pushing, whole food, plant-based nutrition, because that is how you get the highest value or highest quality of food to maintain good health. They were active. Those people walked all the time. They were always up and about. They did not abuse substances. They did not. They maintained good social connections, which is something that is very strong in our African culture, because it builds resilience, and that's why people are suffering a lot. I don't know if you're familiar with the statistics right now, but there's a high rate of anxiety, depression, suicide, and homicides with this whole COVID thing, because people that did not have strong social connections are getting isolated, and it's getting to them. It's messing them up. And so we know that staying socially connected is important for your survival. God made it that way on purpose. We are social beings. Getting good sleep is important. Your body rejuvenates, it renews, it cleans up, it rebuilds when you're sleeping. And I would say it, and I'm sure anybody who pays attention will say it, when you're not getting enough sleep, you're more likely to catch anything that comes your way. Your immune system is basically compromised. Same thing with stress. Okay, that was the last pillar, stress management. Stress also compromises your immune system. And so these are all the 6 things that we talk about in lifestyle medicine. We practice a lot of those things in our African societies. But as we become more westernized, we start having the illnesses that are common in the West, but we don't have the tools to manage them. So right now, the way I see the survival of Africans depends on them sticking to good lifestyle practices. I'm going to say now that the projections about the deaths in Africa, I don't think anybody meant ill. I don't think so. I don't have any vested interest in any of those people that said those things. I don't think they meant ill. They were projecting based on the concept that they have of Africa. Africa is a nation that is not able to hold its own. It's a continent that has difficulty holding its own. But the other thing they undermine is what we already have going for us, which are the 6 pillars of lifestyle. People are not always in crowded situations. They get enough sleep at night. In general, that's what our people do. And so we were already set up to overcome these situations. So I don't think I'm terribly surprised. If you look back and look at what's going on with our people, we do a whole lot of lifestyle practices. So I'm not surprised that COVID didn't hit us the way people expected. Another thing that people don't understand about Africans, we are not high risk takers. We don't do things that jeopardize our health. I mean, I'm saying it in general. Of course, you always have deviants, but we don't do certain things that jeopardize us. If an African knows that a mask is going to save their lives and they have access to a mask, they will wear it. If you go back in history, read about the Spanish flu. Africa was one of the continents that almost slipped through the Spanish flu without anything until the soldiers who went to fight the World War brought it back. Because as soon as people found out, they started helping each other, they started protecting each other. They were doing things that helped them as a society. If people didn't have access to masks, somebody made sure that they made it available for their neighbors. So we should keep the virtues, get rid of the vices, and keep the virtues. We are going to always win if we keep the virtues. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Dr. Bib Tadzon. It's a pleasure having you back on the program, and please don't go away just yet. We're getting up to the top of the hour, and we'll go over to Houston, Texas, to our president, to our chairperson, Reverend Pam. Please, over to you.
Thank you so much, Nia Song. I'm looking for our Ambassador Lisa. You're welcome. You're muted, but I'm going to start with our anthem. Can you guys see it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Africans have many bright ideas, but only you let us share. If you really want to know our history, please come, sit down, listen to my story.
Do you want to go to Best Buy first?
God gave us those.
Mute yourselves if you're going to speak over the song, please.
Footsteps makes us shine and transform. Hey, that's what people with so many cultures, they are one. Stand up, Africans. Let's sing Africa. Let us all unite behind Africa Online Media Corporation. Stand up, Africans. Let's sing Africa. It's time to come together, promote awareness, progress, and solution. Africans, Africans, Africa, Africans, Africans, Africa, Africans, Africans, Africa. All Africans can rally for a common cause, to believe without judgment in what our brother does. To identify and resolve our challenges, to allow each other's ideas without regard to standards. That's what people with so many cultures, yes indeed we are one. Stand up, Africans, for Africa. Let us solve all the problems plaguing our continent. Stand up, Africans. Let's save Africa. Let us empower Africans in and out of Africa. Stand up, Africans, for Africa. Africa Online Media Corporation. That's a good way to start. Stand up, Africans. Let's save Africa. They have all the resources we need to benefit our society. Oh. There will be education for everyone. Prosperity for Africans. Medical facilitation for Africans. Stand up, Africans, for Africa. Africa Online Media Corporation. That's a good way to start. Stand up, Africans. Let's see Africa. Africa is the cradle of civilization. The motherland. Stand up, Africans, for Africa. We were enslaved not because we were weak, but because of our hospitality. Stand up, Africans. Let's sing Africa. Jump on the Africa Online Miracle Jet. Don't be left behind. Stand up, Africans, for Africa. Together we shall succeed. Together we will win. Stand up, Africans. Let's sing Africa. We are writing our own story. The truth and we shall tell it to the world. Stand up, Africans, for Africa. No more lies. Africans own Africa.
Okay. That's our anthem, our website, because we have a lot to still talk about this fighting coronavirus and COVID-19. I'm not going to bother pulling up the website, but our website is www.africaonlinetv.org. We are still collecting donations for the Operation Borehole 55. Our administrator of the continent is in a country where internet is not available right now. I'm not going to say the name of the country, but I'm sure there are a lot of countries in Africa that have challenges. So whenever she gets back to Freetown, you'll be able to see her on this program. She has some important updates on the first borehole. They've been working, doing some logistics and some preliminary work, some vetting on the continent so we can get started. At last count, the CFO doesn't have any new update, but last Sunday, another way, I think 11,035, something like that. But so hopefully when she comes up next Sunday, we would have had the 5K that she was referring to would have been added to our donations. So our topic for next week, if you will recall, 2 weeks ago, we were going to do we did battered wife syndrome and domestic violence, and we got several messages asking about the men, and we said we're going to do a sequel, but because at the end of the month we typically do health topics, we've done that for 4.5 years, so we had to do our health topic, and then this show today is a sequel to that health topic, this sweat it off and save a life. So we thought it was critical for us to indulge Dr. Nukuna and Are Obensin. Unfortunately, he is not here on this sweat it off and save a life is important, and especially since it's going on in the month of October. So starting tomorrow, we're going to talk about battered husbands and battered men. It's amazing how the number of men that get abused or battered by their wives, and even though battery usually refers to physical abuse, believe me, a lot of women have mastered the art of verbal and emotional abuse. So we're going to be talking about that. We want to encourage all the men, whether you've been a victim or not. We want to see some men here, Niasong and Professor Agrippa, bring some of your brothers on this show to come and talk about this. We're not saying that they are victims, but if there is any man out there, African man, don't be ashamed to come. You will save your other brothers who are in the same soup like you. You don't have to take that abuse. Abuse of any type is not acceptable. You don't have to endure it. We're not saying divorce, don't divorce, but get help. So we're going to be talking about that, and any brother that's going to come out here on this show and address it, I'm telling you, they will get an award and a reward, because a lot of men, I don't know if it's a macho thing or ego thing. I remember when I was young, there was this short man that was married to a very tall woman, and the wife used to beat him all the time. And he came to the house one day, he was talking to my dad and was crying. And God forgive me, I was a child then. I went into the room, I was laughing. I was like, how can a woman be beating this man up? I had no idea that it was actually rampant. But as I'm talking like this, I can still see the image. The man was about 5 foot or shorter. The wife was almost 6 foot. And she used to beat the living daylife out of her husband. Don't ask me why. Why marry somebody only to abuse them? But I think with the men, it's not just the physical abuse, it's mostly emotional, mental, verbal, abuse. So that's what we're going to be talking about next week. Our ambassador pressed away, even though she's not feeling well. So I'll hand back over to the anchors to pose a question to her, and then we'll pose some questions to Dr. Nukuna.
Yes, Sylvia, okay. Thank you, Chair, for the information and for the anthem. We always like to listen to it. I know Dr. Nukuna was hearing it perhaps for her first time, but
Oh no.
okay, all
She
right.
said she made a comment.
Okay, I take that back. I take that back. Okay.
She made a comment. She says the anthem is beautiful. She wrote a comment.
Okay. Professor Agrippa, I'm starting with you for this second half, where you've spoken about what you have done at your place of work and where you live to fight off coronavirus and COVID-19. But for our brothers and sisters on the continent of Africa, what would you, as somebody who is living that reality, what would you tell our brothers and sisters on the streets of, say, Lusaka, Lilongwe, or Yaoundé, or Douala, or I don't know where else?
Ghana.
That's right.
Yeah, before I ended my testimony, I did say it, I wish I can package our system at UCLA and dump it in Africa.
That's right.
That will help them. And currently, I'm doing that, working with some doctors to see what is the best practices we can develop in Africa. Little things that we do. I think Reverend Pem said it, Sylvia said it, exercise, is very great. We should encourage everyone to do that. Even if you don't have nothing, just put on music and jump up and down. For me, I don't go out there like Sylvia, walking 1.5 miles. I do treadmill. That's my nature. I have to do 20 to 25,000 steps every day, 7 days a week.
Wow.
That is what I do.
And that's outstanding, Prof. That's outstanding. That is outstanding.
Yeah. Even at UCLA, all the employees, we do competition. I'm always number one, so nobody can beat me. And we'll be doing it for almost 7 years now.
Wow.
So they're always looking forward, to do the competition on Fitbit. So, and that will give you great energy, because when you don't have your lungs or nothing, there is no life. Health is life, just like water is life. So we need to, put all these things together. Now, when you work in the hospital, you work in the office, practice all those things. Have your sanitizer, wash your hands, make sure you wear your mask. If you're in your office, like our professor said, buy some extra. So when somebody is coming, they don't have one, give them one. That is what I do. Before you come to our building, we have 2 nurses by the door. They have to take your temperature. They have the series of questions to ask you. And if your temperature is high, you're not coming in. We just tell you to go take another route to the back one to isolated area. And then you will see the nurses coming with their PPE to make sure they take care of you. So if we African people can have those things, every day when I go to work, I pray to God, say, God, give me energy. How can I package at least 50% of what I practice on a daily basis to Africa? So that's what I do. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Professor.
Niason, before you pose your question,
yes.
Yeah, before you pose that question, I just wanted to share something first with all of you. As a parent, I'm a very concerned parent because I've gotten quite a few phone calls regarding our children and how they're coping with COVID. Reverend Pam, that might be a topic for another day, but I just need to bring it out and hear the views, or at least share with what's going on with some of our children. Unfortunately, I have, like I say, I deal a lot with women and youth. That's my passion. And most of my community service is based upon the women and the youth. Now, a lot of people do call me for issues that they have regarding their children, which of course I'll not divulge any names or cities or anything like that. But I just want to share with you, just in case there are others out there that are going through the same. Some of our children are not coping very well with COVID, especially those that are above the age of 16. Remember, when they turn 16, they feel like they're adults now. They're becoming rebellious. They're refusing to do certain things that they're supposed to be doing in their home, and also now starting to fight with their parents. Now, the stress of being in the house or the stress of being confined together is really starting to get the best of a lot of people. Because like Prof says, there's some people who don't want to leave the confines of their home. They want to do everything inside their houses, which there's nothing wrong with that. But what we also have to do is we have to be cognizant about our children's needs and our children's wants. As parents, you go to work, some of you who are going to work, should I say, not everybody, you go to work. So that means you get a reprieve from being inside the house or being cooped around the 4 walls that, govern your environment. Now, when we have these young children, we're keeping them in the house. You understand? Maybe the furthest they will go is if you have a driveway, maybe they walk down the driveway, get the mail and come right back. But yet we are not giving them the out of, okay, you can go and do this and then come back. When they want an out, us as parents are holding on to them so aggressively to a point whereby we're becoming hysterical with them. Because I don't want my child to get COVID. I don't want my child to go out there. I don't want my child to do this. Hey, they are also human like us. So parents, even if the kids are going out, just make sure, like Prof said, the mask is a complete, have to. Reverend Pam says she goes with gloves. If they're going to the store or they're going to a public place that they're going to meet other people, please enforce the mask thing. And when they get there, they should video you. So they show you where they're at. So each parent knows where their children are. I just thought I'd share that because I have about 5 kids that I'm dealing with right now that are going through this stress of the pandemic. And the common denominator is my parents are not letting me out of the house. So I just wanted to share that with y'all.
Thank you very much, Sylvia, for sharing that with us. It looks like, in spite of her situation this morning or this afternoon, our ambassador is ready to say something. Reverend Pam, am I right?
Yeah, she's on. Ambassador Lisa, she's muted. I don't know if she wants to put a video, but Ambassador, you're welcome. Ambassador?
Hi, I didn't know my microphone came on, but I'm not talking today. I just wanted to enjoy.
Okay, no problem. Thank you so much for zooming in. I do have a question for Dr. Tazon. Dr. B, can you unmute yourself? Dr. B, yeah. I know you are driving. Okay, Dr. B, I have a question for you. You are actually a couple. You are a frontline worker. And I know every day, there you are. I don't know if you're at work or not. You have your mask on.
No, I'm not at work. I came to Costco to pick up something.
Oh, okay. But you have your mask on. So if you want to share this Sweat It Off and Save a Life is raising funds for PPEs for frontline workers in Cameroon.
Yes, ma'am.
You are a frontline worker here and you're a Cameroonian. What advice, first of all, tell your colleagues and our listeners what you do to protect yourself from getting this coronavirus, and then advise your colleagues on the continent what they can do. That's the one question. The second question is, a lot of our frontline workers on the continent are afraid of patients. There are patients that may come in with a temperature that have malaria or typhoid, not COVID, and they'll be afraid to touch them. I know of an incident where a patient was neglected because he had malaria. They thought it was COVID-19, and that person died. Unfortunately, this person was a high-ranking official in the government, and being there just like a regular human, they had no idea who he was until when he passed and they saw the military and all these people coming to the hospital. So please, if you can address those two things, what are you doing to protect yourself? What can they do on the continent? And then educating the frontline workers on how to triage patients. Not every patient that has a fever has COVID-19. Dr. Tazon.
Reverend Pam, the first thing I would say, can you hear me well?
Yes.
Okay, good. I have a mask on, sorry. The first thing I would say is that people are only as faithful as their options, so sometimes we make suggestions, but those suggestions don't really mean much because those people don't have many options on what they can and cannot do. So I always keep that in mind, because you can give somebody all the instructions, but if they cannot follow the instructions for some reason, then those instructions don't really mean anything. And I think that's really where having good governance plays a key role. I'm going to come back to that in a moment. But now in my own clinic, and I work in so many different places, and what we do is, it's difficult to enforce because I think all of us recall when this whole thing started, there was a shortage of PPEs and there was confusing messaging. So people did not want to follow instructions. But right now, I think as the numbers are going up and it's hitting closer to more people's homes, they're more open to hearing what needs to be done. So one of the things, I take vitamin C. I take at least 1,000 milligrams every day. I make sure that my vitamin D levels are up to par. Those are the two strong recommendations right now. So getting a good amount of vitamin C, vitamin D is very important. If your vitamin D levels are good, then you may just do a daily maintenance, maybe about 600 international units daily. If you have vitamin D deficiency, you need to make sure your doctor helps you correct it so that you're in a good place, because they're finding that those things have connections with your risk of getting COVID. And then what we also do in the clinic, of course, lots of hand washing. You try not to touch your face. We have the mask that we always put on, and we have a lot of other things. We have the facial shield that I would put on. I have some goggles that I put on too. And I insist that my patients wear their masks. If you don't wear a mask, I don't want to see you. In fact, I'm not going to see you. I'll just pretend that you're not in the clinic. And we're trying to enforce this all the way from the front. So when patients are even coming into clinic, what we try to make sure that the front end staff do is they try to ask them questions, basically screen them for any symptoms, any exposure. And if there's a high risk, we tell them, you know what, go get tested first and then we can see you later. But the other part to it, which is an advantage we have that they don't have in Cameroon, is that we can do telemedicine. So if our patients really need something or they need some kind of quick intervention, and we cannot see them because we want them to go and self-quarantine and get screened, we can send them out. We can call them and try to arrange stuff for them. That's not very easy in Cameroon. With everything going on right now, even before now, it was hard to communicate. Now it's even harder. So it's really difficult for me to tell them, hey, go home, we'll screen, we'll get screened and cleared before you come back to the clinic so you don't infect everybody else. I find that to be disingenuous because those people don't have those options at home. So that's one of the examples of what I was saying. Of course, again, there's lots of good hand washing. You try to encourage your patients. You try to keep a positive attitude. I find that to be really important. My patients ask me daily, and they will say this every day. They ask me, how are you doing? I say, I'm grateful because I could be one of the 200 and something that are gone. And I'm just grateful that I'm not one of them. I'm grateful that I can still breathe and I'm up and about. And that attitude really keeps your stress level down. It encourages your patients. And when it comes to mask enforcement, one of the first things I tell patients when they get aggressive is, I'm not against you, I'm against COVID, okay? We're trying to make it through COVID, and I want you to keep that in mind. And I tell them, I see a ton of patients today. If you expose me to something, I'm gonna make everybody sick. And if somebody else exposed me behind you, I'm gonna make you sick. So you see, this is not about you and me. This is about trying to make it through this thing, but we have to work together. Yeah. So it's about helping people see what this is really about. It's not about me against you or us fighting each other. It's us fighting this thing. And let's keep that positive attitude. When the patients come in and they're struggling with the mask, and I tell them, I say, listen, I don't enjoy this stuff either, okay? Some days I wear it, I'm perfectly fine, but some days I wear it, I really feel like I'm going to die. Because I don't know, I just feel closed up, and I don't have an anxiety problem. But some days when I wear this thing, I feel that way, and I explain to them, I say, listen, a lot of it is in the mind. When you wear it and you feel like you're suffocating, take a deep breath, calm yourself down. Just take some deep breaths and remind yourself, this is the key to my survival right now. I need to do this and I'm gonna be fine. The air is warm in here, but it's not gonna kill me. It's just uncomfortable and I'll get past it. And when you tell yourself that in a few minutes, it doesn't matter anymore. Yes. So this is some of the things. And then of course, one of the big things that I insist upon, even starting with my family, because for me, the coronavirus is not just challenging because of work. My home is made up of 3 generations. My parents live with me. Sometimes they live with my brother, sometimes. So when they're with me, they're older, they have comorbidities. If they get it, we're going to have a lot of problems. So I really have to be aggressive about protecting them and the children. And so that always poses a challenge because you come back home, people want to talk with you, they want to hang out with you, but I just kind of disappear. I go and hide because I don't want to expose anybody just in case I got exposed. So that's one of the things. So frontline workers, when you get home, realize that you're potentially a risk to your family. Yeah. Always keep that in mind. We love them, but we're trying to protect them too. So we need to do what we have to do. I do a lot of clothes changing. I leave my clothes in the car. When I get back, I let them stay in the car for a few days before I launder them. So just little things like that. I think they go a long way. And of course, lifestyle management, eating healthy, trying to get enough sleep, trying to manage stress levels, avoiding substances. Again, all the 6 pillars that I mentioned, those are all very important. We stay active, we try to go walking, and sometimes I fall off because I get so busy and carried away, but it's still important to stay on your toes. That is one of the things that really keeps you going. So I think what we're doing is exactly what I'll tell my colleagues in Cameroon. Pre-screen, do everything that you can. And for me, after everything, God is the ultimate. Yeah. When I've done what I need to do, I say, God, whatever is left is beyond my control. And this is for you to do, to help me with. And so for those who believe in God, you definitely need to be praying, not only for yourself, but for everybody else. I don't know if I answered those questions.
You did. Thank you so much.
Yes, ma'am.
That
I'm
being
gonna
said,
I'm gonna excuse myself because I'm in the store and I'm standing
Oh,
like
that's
hiding
fine. We have
behind.
just 5 minutes
yes,
anyway. Thank you so
thank
much.
you. Yeah, Dr.
God bless you
Nukuno,
and thank you for all you do.
thank you very much. We're going to start
Listen,
with Dr. Nukuna to start
Mm.
wrapping up the program. Sweat it off, save a life, plus your own personal actions to keep coronavirus millions of miles away.
And Reverend Pam is sweating it off.
So sweat it up, save a life. That's my contribution to the community for the month of October. But as you know, I am always trying to transform lives. And as Dr. Tazon said, let's make it a lifestyle change. It's not something that we're going to start today and stop, because once you stop, it comes back. So all the things that we're doing, I'm so happy that our UCLA professor,
Agrippa.
Yeah, he gave us all of those really good tidbits, and I am applying all of those at work as well. We are blessed to be able to do all of that at work. I go to work every day, and we have a code. All of us co-workers, we talk to each other about what we are going to do over the weekend. And the plan is for all of us to do non-risky activities. So we don't go to the beach, we don't go to bars, if we go to the grocery stores, we make sure we wear our masks, and we have, of course, sanitizing stations all over the site, and the site actually, DuPont is a company that's really pushing for exercise. So at 11 o'clock every day, everything is stopped and everybody is actually asked to join a Zoom yoga session to reduce the stress level. So everybody participates in about a 30 to 40 minute Zoom session for yoga and meditation. So the company has actually invested in things like that. So, in Africa, we can do that. We can actually institute walks or breaks during our walks where people can take time and think about themselves, because the mental diseases is a big issue too. The issue of our youth struggling with the isolation. I know we talked about actually making that a topic. I absolutely think that's a great idea. We had a COVID-19 pandemic force here in Delaware, and we had one of our psychiatric nurse, a nurse psychiatrist, and she gave a very profound talk about the young kids who are coming to her practice. And she gave us all the tips and all the triggers that you can see in these young kids, how they start behaving funny, how they start, failing their tests, how they start, not eating right. There are all kinds of different signs that we start seeing changes in our kids. So I think that's going to be a valuable topic for one of our health sessions coming up. So otherwise, it's again, God, we have to put him ahead of everything. We never know. We can have all of these precautions, but we have to also believe.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Professor Agrippa. Your last word on today's topic. Professor Agrippa, I think you're muted. If you can unmute yourself, please. Your last word as we wrap up the program today.
No, I'm not muted.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, you're welcome. What I would like to say is that this program is a very great program. The information that we give out every week is saving some lives, whether we like it or not. So I will encourage all of you guys to continue. I will do my best, to draw more people to this wonderful program for Africa. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Solange, our CFO, I know you've been quite quiet, but please, your last thoughts on today's program. Unmute yourself, please.
Muted.
Yeah, fellow citizens, global citizens, Africans in the diaspora and in Africa, I want to encourage us to continue donating to Project Ball 55. It's an ongoing project and it's really going to help a lot of African villages, healthcare facilities. Please, Africans, stand up and be counted. We have a lot of Africans that are millionaires, billionaires, and you name it. And you don't have to be any of those to contribute. There's nothing that is too small and nothing that is too big. Do it for Africa. Water is life. We are still collecting donations. Stand up and be counted. Thanks and God bless.
Trump is going home from the hospital.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you for the update. Yes, Sylvia, please unmute yourself. Sylvia, unmute.
Prof,
Yes.
did you say Trump left the hospital?
Yes, just leaving right now.
So he was never sick, like I said, it was just a publicity stunt, right?
I think so.
No, let's not go there on this show, please.
Anyway,
Yes.
ladies and gentlemen, it's been a pleasure as always being with you. And as always, like Professor says, we always learn something new from one another as we disseminate information based upon the topics that are chosen by African Online Media Corporation. On this note, stay safe. There's always the masks. There's always the gloves that you can wear. Otherwise, the older ones like me that are old geezers are even wearing shields over their faces. So please don't go outside, especially into public areas, if you're not properly protected. Always carry some hand sanitizer for you ladies who have handbags. Carry some hand sanitizer so you can share with others who don't have it. So that every time you go out of your own vicinity, come back, sanitize before you get into your car. When you get home, take those clothes off, put them in the wash. Don't touch nothing until you wash your hands and sanitize. May God bless us all.
Thank you, Reverend Pam.
Yes, I thank all of you. I've learned a lot on this show. Prof, thank you for what you're doing at UCLA. Dr. Najila Nukuna, thank you so much. Ambassador, thank you for pressing your way. And Madam President, thank you. Madam CFO, thank you. Dr. Nukuna, find out from the nurse practitioner if she'll be interested in coming on this show. I do have a sister-in-law and a niece and a brother who are all in the psychiatry, but I would rather not bring anybody on this show with the same last name as mine. We had talked about students, but we never really did a show specifically on the youth, how they are coping with this. So we're talking about having a show called Coping with COVID-19 and Coronavirus. We may, based on the guest, if we can get them this month, then I think we're gonna tackle that topic this month. The rate of suicide has gone up, with our children, depression. Some of us are homebodies, me, I can stay home for the whole year and not open my door, I'll be fine. Just give me my music and my movies, I'll be fine. But a lot of people don't know how to do that. So I wanna encourage everybody to stay safe, get exercise, get your daily exercise, sweat it off and save a life. Join is only $25 to save a life, Niaso.
Thank you very much. And at this point, Dr. Najila, I want to join the forces of Africa Online Media Corporation in thanking you for never hesitating to be here when we need you. Thank you, Professor Agrippa. You were off a few days, a few weeks, but that was not because you wanted to be off. Thank you, Solange. You are always with us. We just want you to keep pressing the button so that those funds come in for the Operation 55.
I'll do my best.
It's been a pleasure as always, and I think I want to thank Reverend Pam, who never fails and who always is pushing. It's not easy to be the chair of an organization of diverse backgrounds, diverse people, and all whatnot, covering the entire continent of Africa. Thank you all very much. Welcome October, and let's see next week.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.